And that was defense attorneys Earl Gray, that's the man who you just heard from, and Paul Eng was the first man you heard from, talking about Kim Potter being a devoted Catholic and the fact that she has already posted a $100,000 bail and she was not going to flee. So let's bring our guest back in to talk about that. I'm wondering, Philip, your defense attorney, did they make to you a compelling argument? Do you think that the judge should have let her remain free on bail?
And Angenette, I mean, the bottom line is they didn't have a compelling legal reason to keep her out. Let's face it, the jury convicted her. She is now presumptively looking at what? At least 10 years in prison. I'm more of a pragmatist. I think she should just get it over with, start earning her credit and apply it towards her sentence. I think what the defense was trying to do is give the judge equitable reasons for keeping her out, and maybe she can help prepare and help her counsel prepare motions for a new trial or some mitigation for her sentencing. But otherwise, there's no true legal reason, and I think the judge was correct.
Philip, I'm interested in what you have to say about one thing that Nima said, that juries love police officers. Do you think that's really true anymore, though? I mean, maybe some jurors love police officers, but being a police officer, I mean, that's a tough job anymore. I mean, even if you're like a good person who's done everything by the book and you are not somebody who's done something like this, you know, there are a lot of people who don't like cops.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on the vicinage. In other words, the community from which the jury pool is drawn. So, for example, where I'm at down here in LA, there are communities within South LA who have been historically kicked around by the police. I mean, that's just how they live. You know, the police are cruising up and down their streets and their neighborhoods. They're making, you know, warrantless arrests and seizures and searches, and people are sick and tired of being stopped and patted down and beaten up in those communities. So yes, there's an inherent distrust of the police. Where it gets a little different, if you will, is when you start going in some of the nicer, more affluent areas of the city, where then you get a mix of people. So if you can draw from both communities, then hopefully you'll get an even mix of jurors and viewpoints. But generally speaking, I think most people want to believe that cops are good people. They're doing the right thing. They became cops not because they want to disenfranchise people of color, but because they really do want to serve and protect their community.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be interesting to see, you know, what impact this might have and what happens with those federal trials of the police officers involved in George Floyd's death. Obviously, much different set of circumstances, but obviously, as you're saying, you know, there's a shift in this country. You both mentioned it. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a lot more about this guilty verdict, two guilty verdicts, so stay with us. You're watching Law and Crime.